I can write its anime detour.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a good night tonight. Sorry
I
we
can
are
write its
running a
anime
bit
detour.
late for you. Hello, everybody.
Had a bit of an
Hope you're all
issue.
getting started, but we are ready to go. So first thing on the agenda tonight, is the recapping of the off-cycle votes and actions. Really, the only one we had was the position announcements for the 3 coordinator positions, being communications. We got communications, charitable giving, and somebody give me a name. I'm blanking at the moment.
Communities.
Media.
Communities. Thank you.
Communities.
Communities. Thank you. Yes, communities, communications, and the charities team. At this point, we have received applications for both the communities and the communications teams. We've reached out to them, and we will be setting up kind of a small interview with the board and those individuals here in the next few weeks, and we will be getting our decisions on that announced at the following meeting coming next month. And just as a reminder to anybody, if you do have any questions, we are on a little bit of a delay. So we will get back to you, but it just may be a few seconds after you actually ask it. Second item on the list is our open session, the first 30 minutes of the meeting. If there is anybody in the chat that has any questions or anything they wanted to bring to the board for this, please go ahead and mention it in the chat.
Did we not want to do the other board position announcement?
I thought that was going to be later.
Oh, that was in number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get back to that in just a second then. My mistake.
Okay.
Yes, somebody has a lot of background noise. I'm not sure who that's coming from. Okay, yep, I think we got it.
Okay. All right, looks like nobody has any questions. And as they said, we're going to round back to that first topic.
Can we do the attendance?
Yes. Sorry. Getting all over the place today.
Yep.
So this, since this is a board meeting and it is counted towards attendance for voting rights, please, if you would like to be counted in attendance, please email Christina your username and then comment in the chat that you are here, and we will get you counted for attendance for the voting rights. We'll be getting that posted in the chat here in just a minute as well, as a reminder.
So when we have the appropriate time, there is something I would like to bring up in the open discussion.
Okay. Let's get this here position announced first, and then we'll
Of course.
take care of that. So the other position that we need to announce is we have an open board position. We've gone through, we've interviewed a handful of candidates, and at this time, the board feels that Hotura is the appropriate candidate for that position. We'll be working with her over the next couple weeks, and we will be getting a vote set up here within the next month or so, to the voting membership for that election or for that selection process. Hold on, I think that might be me. Let me try turning things down.
It might actually be Edson for that white noise.
Oh, okay. Hang on, let me check something.
All right. Well, I turned my things down. So as soon as John gets back, we will. He can bring up what he had for the open session. If anybody else in the comments on YouTube watching us on the live stream has any questions or anything for the open session, please go ahead.
While we're taking a couple minutes, if chat has anything for open session, we just might want to clarify that the ballot that goes out is a confirmation of the appointment, so it will be a yes/no vote for Hotura. Basically, so the membership is saying yes, they agree with the board that they would like Hotura to take the open seat, or no, they would not. And it is a 51% majority.
Is
that
there
any
going to
better?
be some kind of summary or something sent out to staff so that they are able to evaluate the candidate? Because I know just a lot of people might not know her.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can write something up.
definitely.
Yeah, it just seems a little more fair.
Yeah.
We can definitely write something up, at least for why we believe it, or something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Is that better for the white noise? Is it gone now?
Not really. A little better.
Not really.
Yeah, it's a little
Uh,
better.
Okay. One more time. Let me try something else. All right, let's try that.
Much better.
Okay.
All right. So then, John, you said you had something you wanted to bring up for the open session.
Yes, something that I would like to at least bring the topic up of a possibility of either a very reduced capacity for next year's Anime Detour convention, or the possibility that due to COVID we might have to cancel again.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, are you
well, yeah.
done? I don't want to cut you off.
No, that's fine. You go ahead. Mine's a little bit more detailed on things.
I do know that it will be part of the coordinator update, and that we will be discussing that as it will come up in their staff meetings as well. So I do know that Troy is planning on bringing that up for discussion. So I don't know if we want to have that discussion now in open session, or if we want to wait for the coordinator updates, and that's honestly between John and Troy.
I mean, if the topic's already planning on being brought up, I don't feel a need to discuss it now.
Yeah. I'd be comfortable leaving it till the coordinator update, since that's kind of his ballpark.
Very well. Moving on.
Didn't we have to vote on our proposition for Hotura in the meeting?
You are correct.
Okay.
So for that sanity's sake, I would move to appoint Hotura as in the open member at large spot.
Would anybody like
I
to
will second.
Okay.
I will second.
All in favor?
Okay. Well, it looks like we just got a chat.
So with the
For open
communication
session.
position looking to be filled, is there an actual plan to use other platforms, or is ATC going to be using Facebook as its only platform? Instagram has not been used since 2019 and Twitter since 2016. I know I've been looking at a handful of those things, trying to get a few of those we've been still trying to get access to. I know we've been having some issues trying to get into our Instagram for a little while now. But I know that's one thing that we're gonna sit down and have a discussion with the coordinator to see what their plans are, what their goals are, and how we as an organization feel would be best to move forward with those.
And I believe I've found how to get access to those platforms, so we can take that
Sweet.
offline in one of our working sessions during not a board meeting, but I think I figured out how to get access to a couple of those sites while I was addressing another issue.
Okay. Okay. All right, then, yeah. Looks like we are getting the ball rolling on some of those already. All right, so we can move on to the discussions from any visiting parties and the equipment rentals. I don't know if we have any visiting parties from other organizations here that would have any questions or anything they would like to bring up.
I know it's not in a visiting party, but they are, I'm assuming, an ATC partner of some sort. But what's going on with GPS? Do we want to touch base on that?
It's on the bottom of the list.
It's on the
Yeah, I
bottom of the
have
list?
it on the agenda.
Yep, it is the very last thing on the list. Okay, second to last thing on the list. We just added one.
I can read the agenda, I promise.
Okay. Looks like we got nothing from any visiting parties. Unless Kim, Christina, or Heather, or anybody has seen any rental requests, I would not imagine we have any coming in at the moment. So we can move on to coordinator updates. We'll start with Troy with Anime Detour.
We had our executive post-mortem this past weekend, where we went over staff provided feedback, sparse as it was.
Didn't get too many of those?
11. So seems to be paired with a lack of interest organization-wide. So at least at the detour level, we are working on taking that feedback and working with the department heads for a review of their performance over the past year. Thoughts and initiatives, whether it came from staff or the executive team or the department head, on things to look at improving or implementing, et cetera, during this coming cycle. I wouldn't say there's a heavier focus. As I've mentioned, there is a review element that the expectations of completing your inventory, turning in your budget on time, and responding to emails in a timely fashion are just not being met. And if we just start with those three facts, if that's not something we have department heads able or willing to do, and they're not willing to accept our help in how to try and manage those tasks, then I think we need to consider other changes. We don't have a long gestation period for people to take 3 or 4 years to begin responding to emails in a timely fashion. Most of these positions are asked for, they're interviewed for, they're offered and accepted. All that comes with expectation, even though it is volunteer work. So we'll be working with those department heads. One of the, and we really need the department heads to be on top of that, particularly in this coming cycle. As basically we'll be, we have to plan as if we're going to be able to hold a convention until such time where we have to, if we have to shift gears to not holding a convention, and switching where we can to virtual elements if we aren't able to put on more of a physical convention in 2021. That's essentially where we're at with, like I said, they'll be moving into the one-to-ones. We'll have our first staff meeting in 2 weeks on the 25th. Prior to that, we'll have a department head meeting to engage with them and go over, again, some of the expectations that we hope to improve on as a leadership group throughout this next cycle, as well as, again, discussing that, 2021 is hopeful, but it is not guaranteed. So we're going to, right now, essentially all we can do is wait and see, and if there's another spike or if the restrictions loosen or if they tighten. But I think the Anime Detour leadership team feels that, not that we won't be gauging it continually in these next months, but certainly by December 1st, we will have to take a pretty hard look at where we are. That if there's still fairly restrictive gathering guidelines, then more than likely, depending on what that 2021 is not, would probably not be possible. 6 feet distance from everybody would really restrict opening ceremonies, no dance, vendors, if you can get vendors to come out, if you could get voice actors to come out, nearly everything we do would be impacted. And depending on what those restrictions are, even if we were fairly confident that we could get X number of thousands of people, we also have to have sort of a weigh the cost of that. At what cost would it be to put on the convention? If, depending, would we not be profitable? Would we not break even? How much of a loss? So those are things that, we'll constantly be keeping an eye on as things are, revealed to the public as far as restrictions and things like that. But yeah, we will have to, we will know more when we know more, which I realize is very vague, but if nothing really changes in the next month, essentially nearly every step we get closer to probably around December 1st, if nothing has changed or worsened, it increases the chances that we wouldn't be able to physically hold Detour 2021. So we're cognizant of the issue. We're hopeful that is not what we need to do. But so, as I said, we'll sort of be simultaneously trying to plan, look at things that worst case scenario that we could provide virtually, a little less spontaneous. I mean, we only had a few weeks when the restrictions were announced until we had a con, so we weren't really able to put as much together as some other conventions have been able to virtually. So we'll be working with the department heads on that as well. So we'll essentially be planning these two different tracks, and as things improve or worsen, we'll know which one we have to kind of shift to. So that being said, like I said, we really will need the help from the department responsive to emails and collaborating with us, so that more than ever we can make sure that things are being taken care of on time. So registration has completed their refund rollover process. I think we had one more come in, but they were the result of they didn't get their full refund because they had ordered 3 badges and only mentioned the one. So there may be some straggling issues like that, but short of that, we've made an announcement on social media about that. I think
Question on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if this would be a Kim issue, a registration issue, or what. I know we've gotten a couple of questions regarding the donations of membership. What were we doing with that as far as like getting receipts or emails out for that?
Well, I sent Kale his receipt because he was the one I understand that requested one.
Okay.
So I guess, as I said in my email, I'd like to take it one by one rather than
Okay.
have to do 75 and have to figure out where to mail them all or email them all.
Okay. Sorry if
So-
I forgot that. And
Nope, that's all
from
right.
reading the
Kale,
email.
as far as I know, Kale got my email.
Okay.
Unless he said something to you, I sent it out on the 25th.
Okay. Nope. Not since then. I've been some family issues, so I haven't let a few things slip.
I know family issues.
We have, I think the last thing, we have a few positions open that will be getting out there. Some of them were still existing from last cycle, or they're folks that had let us know previously that they were looking to step down after the 2021 convention. So our hope is to find some interested parties, interview them, and then have them as much as possible working with those department heads, so it's not such a cold transfer in 2021. But that's essentially where we're at. I can't really think of anything else, so unless folks have any questions.
I know there's a couple things. I'll sit down with you after one of these nights. Like that app we ran into a couple years ago, Unlocked.
Yeah.
There's a few options like that we can talk about.
Mm-hmm. Works for me.
Start digging into. All right. Next on the list for coordinator updates would be charities. Michelle, did we have any updates on the charities front?
I reached out via email to various charities that we had given monies to in the last couple of years, and got a response back from one of the libraries thanking us for offering and to help however we could to help promote the programs they've got going. So I would like to work with a communications person going forward to have us help promote the events the virtual events that they are putting on in the coming months, so that it ties in, we can help them at least that way, kind of thing. We haven't done any other charitable things that I know of at this point. We did not actually gift money to any of the organizations during the riot recovery at this point.
And I had just reached out to one or two of them that I had contacted during that time to see if that was still something they were interested from our conversations at that point. So we may have some questions or some stuff coming in soon.
But the only thing I've seen come through on the charities email was spam.
Okay.
Yes, Troy?
Do we have a list of the entities that we sent the letter to and a copy of the letter?
We do have a copy of the letter. I could certainly send over to you.
Yeah, I asked a few times in email and hadn't gotten a response, so I just wanted to see about who all we'd contacted as far as letting them know that we weren't going to have. Well, I'm sure they were aware, but letting them know anyway.
Specifically, I reached out to the libraries because they had reached out to us asking. Anybody who requested a grant, I sent a letter to specifically. But I can certainly send that to you.
I know what Troy is talking about is just the whole conversation about us not doing the charitable giving this year. And I think, Michelle, you might be talking about sort of more of our response to recent events.
No, I'm talking about
you're
us not doing the charitable giving.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
specifically.
I was just trying to find out specifically who we'd sent that letter to, as a number of the people sort of inextricably tie it to Anime Detour, even though it's not. But it'd be nice to know, who we did reach out to and who
Okay.
we didn't.
All right. I will dig that information up and get it out to you.
Thank you.
And we can certainly send it out to more people. Some of the organizations on the list don't even seem to exist anymore, that from beyond a couple of years ago. So,
Interesting.
well, there was at least one charity one group we tried to send money to, and they never cashed the check and things from a while back. So
Okay. All right.
it was something somebody suggested. They asked for it, but their actual parent, the people in charge, really weren't doing things. So
Guess they didn't need it then.
guess not.
All right then. If that's all we had on that front, Kim, did you have any updates from Eric on the communities front? I know I haven't heard much from him.
I don't think so. Just the email that he sent out to the board,
Okay.
a couple of weeks ago about the new club. I know that they're anxiously waiting to be able to gather and start up. So
Okay.
they're just holding and waiting it out.
Kind of the status quo lately. There are no.
Just for clarification, that's the Youth Anime and Cosplay Club.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. And so with that, was that something that we had to like make a decision on or anything?
Oh.
Or is it just he allocates his budget for clubs?
Yeah, I think he was just informing the board that this new club reached out to him and they do want to have a budget. And if things had been able to start up, in this budget cycle, he would have had plenty of funds in that account to help them out right now since nothing else had been spent. But it's something I think that he'll worry about probably on the next budget cycle because who knows when things will be able to
They're not going to be able to actually hold the club for some time.
Correct.
So, okay.
All right. Next would be communications. I know we don't have any board members or anybody. We got one person that's been taking charge on that, and I know we've been starting to get ramped up on things and trying to get all of our accounts in order. He's been commenting in the chat there. So, but yeah, we've been getting things in order. We're gonna be sitting down here when we get a chance and trying to get all of our accounts linked up, get rid of the old ones, make sure everything's up to dated, and get going from there. Next would be SOS with Heather.
Hi. So we've been continuing the Discord hangouts that we've been doing. We've been doing those every week. We've been switching off from different members of our team and hosting different kinds of activities. So we've done some just open chat time. We did like a streaming party. We did some Jackbox trivia, stuff like that. So turnout for this stuff has been small, but there have been people still seeking it out and attending. So we feel that's still really worthwhile to continue. So this Sunday would have been the date of the cosplay picnic. So we decided to try to do some kind of virtual social thing in its place that's cosplay focused. So you might have seen that out on the HEC page. I did put that out places there as usual. I did actually do a little paid promo on that since it's been a while since we did anything. So see if we can drum up a bit of a bigger response. We're planning to do the word contest isn't the right word, but that's the word that keeps up, like coloring contest. Because we've done art on site, so I'm gonna get some coloring pages. People can download them and use, do your best effort in Microsoft Paint or whatever, and then re-upload it. We'll have a thread for people to post their pictures if they want to get dressed up. We're gonna do some trivia. We're gonna try doing a remote version of Iron Cosplay. where we would just give them a prompt to do, and then they're just gonna have to find stuff around their house to try to throw together and put up a picture.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, I've got some team. I've got a team member that has some unused online codes for games and stuff that we can give out as prizes if we want to do that. So that's the plan, and we're gonna try that this Sunday afternoon and see how that goes. So make an attempt at doing something a little more in depth, since this would have been our major summer event. So
I want to talk to you about some of that stuff, like the advertising and stuff, later when we got some free time. I had some ideas I wanted to run past you and see what you thought.
like for different means of promotion, or
Either different means of promotion, advertising, just you know, because I know I've heard some of the stuff you've done, and just kind of trying to see what we can do to just kind of draw more attention.
sure, yeah. If you got ideas, I mean, I've done everything that I can for the past while, but I'm absolutely always open to more ideas on how we can reach more people.
Okay.
Beyond that, some heavier news, I suppose. I need to inform you all that I intend to submit my resignation effective end of September.
Okay.
I have a written notice that I'll be sending. But and the fact is, I am tired. I'm burned out. I've been 10 years in this position, and sometimes have definitely been easier than others, and in general, it's just been it's a lot, and it's been a lot for a long time. And the sad fact is, as encouraged as I was earlier this year by the new people on my team who are amazing and continue to be motivated and amazing, and as well as we were doing at the beginning of the year, the whole thing with COVID shutting everything down turned out to be the last nail in the coffin for me personally. That pretty much killed the motivation that I had managed to scrape together. And I'm just too tired to do it anymore. I'm sorry. I informed my team. I encouraged them to apply if they're interested in taking up the position. I've set the end date for September 30th, so that there'll be time to find a replacement for me to do some training for that person and to help them out, to make sure we get everything passed over. I do have operating procedures written up for all of our major events that we keep out on our Google Drive. We have running documentation of event attendance and meeting attendance and all of that stuff. That's all already out on the drive, so nobody will be starting from scratch. I do have, like I said, I've got some really solid, really motivated people right now, so there is a team to keep things running. And I'm, determined to do what I can to make sure that this continues and stays strong, and that HTC is able to keep this on their roster. So that being said, I did not do goals for this coming year because I figured it'd be more appropriate to let the new person do that. But if there isn't a replacement in time for the budget deadline, I am prepared to do that. I can work with the team on outlining that, at least getting that submitted on time. But I can totally help whoever my replacement is get that stuff together as well if there's somebody early enough.
Okay.
So,
Thank you for the time you've put into this. It's sad to see you go, but it's understandable. Getting burnt out is an unfortunate side effect that we sometimes run into.
Quite. I've always been an introvert with an extrovert's job. I did it anyway because I felt like it should be done, but it's not in my nature to be outgoing and social, and it's been a wearying role. So I'm glad that I was able to make a difference in this way. I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to do all of this and your support in all the everything that the board has given to make sure that we can provide this for the community. So thanks.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, Heather, I'd like you to be involved in the crafting of the post for that position, just because you
Okay.
are the most informative about it.
I do have you got my description and whatnot from before, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, because I had that. It might need a little refreshing because I wrote that up years ago, but I did also send that out to my teams that they're aware of
Okay.
the requirements if they want to put their name in.
Okay. Yeah. So we can. I mean, if you guys want to do it on a web call, we can do that. Otherwise, we can probably just do it by email. Get it ironed out, what everybody feels comfortable and appropriate with, and then we can get that opening posted. So, like you said, we can try to get a tentative person for that position filled, so they can work with you on that, and just kind of hit the ground running.
My preference for that would be if you guys were to put something together and I can just give input if that's all right.
Nope, that's perfectly fine. That's kind
Okay.
of what we're looking at.
Okay, good.
So, does anybody else have any questions or concerns about anything on that?
I think it's unfortunate that you're going to be leaving, Heather, but I completely understand your reasoning behind it. And as Tristan said, thank you for all of the hard work that you've done running SOS, and we will miss you.
Thanks. I'm not disappearing right away. Again, I plan on totally filling the role until end of September, so I'll be here for the next couple meetings and whatnot.
Okay.
And again, we do also appreciate that. It'll make the transition for the next person that takes over here. So again,
That's the
thank you
hope.
for doing that as well.
All right then. So we will move on to our next coordinator, finance. Kim, I know you sent out an email. Did you have any? What do we got for an update?
Well, everybody should have gotten the finances late last week, I think Friday. So I'm assuming nobody had any concerns over them. I didn't hear from anybody about them. Christina, did you get my email with the numbers so you didn't have to try to
Yes.
quickly write
Yes,
them?
I did.
So the bank account right now sits at $211,149.75. Things are pretty stable in the bank account right now. There's probably still about $1,100 in Artist Alley and registration refund checks that haven't been cashed. Most of it's Artist Alley. Almost all of it is Artist Alley. So I don't know what's taking them so long to cash their checks. But so then everything else is pretty much stayed where it is. The education fund is sitting at $2,262.32, and the leg account at $10,891.92. Typically, this would be the time of the year that we would start thinking about the annual match that goes into the leg account. That's due by the end of September. So I haven't figured out where that stands right now, but it's nowhere close to the $5,000 maximum. So,
okay.
And I don't know that will increase at all. I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of income coming in right now without anything going on. I do have some checks to be deposited. I've been holding them for a little while. Mostly donation checks. I think one from Buttons organization, and then a couple of small checks. So it amounts to about $250.
Okay.
That I'll get deposited sometime this week or next week. It's a little difficult to get into the bank because you have to make an appointment. But
yeah, that I can see how that would be a little difficult.
Which is why we haven't gone to the bank yet, Trisha. It's not that I'm skipping out. We'll get there when I can make an appointment and we can, or when we don't have to make an appointment and it's easier just to walk in. But
you just let me know. I can make time in my day.
Outside of that, I don't think that I have anything else.
Okay.
Unless there's a question.
I did have one question, kind of leaning back on the Troy's subject of detour may or may not happen depending on how COVID turns out. Because I know in the next couple of months we've got budgets and stuff coming up. at this point, I'm not looking for a concrete answer, but if things stay the course, do you think that might still be an issue if things don't improve as far as figuring out budgets?
Well, I guess it will depend on if we decide to open registration or not. Typically, it's been opened by now. But you know, that's fine. Either that, I mean, I still have a plan to start the budget process at the end of the month, as would be the normal time to start it. So it might just be that everybody will have to go back to old time and do what they can on a very small dollar amount. Maybe, you know.
Okay.
And, you know, like I said, right now they're $211,000. That might be what we have to work with or try to. I guess it depends on if we make a decision to open up registration or not. And I have no idea. It's kind of virgin territory. I have no idea how to wrap my head around thinking about planning for the numbers.
Okay.
How many people rolled over?
A good. Well, we had about a little over 1,000 refunds, so probably 70%, 75% maybe. I didn't really look at them.
Just a note that when due to go into budgets is make sure that it doesn't slip people's minds that a good chunk of the attendance is already paid for, so that the income will be, you know.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are new and different,
I mean, and
the amount of the income's already taken in.
Yeah, there's certain things that we have to pay for. We have to pay for, unfortunately, our contract with GPS, and we have to pay for storage, and you know, we have to. There are certain things that have to come out.
Right. No, for sure. I just want to make sure that that doesn't slip people's minds that a chunk of the income has already been brought in. So what will come in over the next year is going to be less because it's already in.
And if we're rolling over with the same theme, maybe then, you know, a lot of the planning is potentially already been done.
Which is a plus.
Yeah. Not as much as you might think.
I said
Darn it.
potentially.
I was really hoping there.
T-shirts and laminators, sure.
I think in the last 2 years, I think we were much later in getting registration opened.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, in the last 2 years. But I would suggest, you know, going forward, there isn't any reason we have to wait until June or July to open that. It's just waiting for no reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it used to always open right before Convergence, which was obviously always 4th of July weekend, mostly because I think they needed to take a break and get the database ready to go. But
and that database, there will be some revamps to that will make things easier. And again, I guess that's what I'm leaning on by saying, going forward, we will not have to wait until, you know, I mean, essentially in some time. So if we are the first weekend in April and we're not opening until August, I'll just be honest with you, those 4 months, I'm not saying you have to open it up the next week, but 4 months just burning through that. I don't think that I think we can back it up a little bit. I mean, I guess essentially worst case scenario, if you open it and don't get many registrations until right before con, you've not really lost anything. So I guess that's sort of something we're looking at long term. But yeah, I think last year, I think we had a number of issues in the last 2 years that I don't think we're able to have it open in July. I know John had to rewrite some stuff. I don't know if it had to do with we changed something over on the back end, but so yeah, we were a little delayed in the last 2 years. Subtracting that delay and opening a little earlier than we have been usually, you know, that can help, but who knows about this year.
Let me just pull it. I can probably tell you when we open.
Yeah, I'd give you the dates, but I can't remember, so I don't want to.
No, let me just pull up my database here quick. I might have it. It looks like we took the first online registrations August 8th.
So hopefully we'll have it open very similarly. I don't know. I'll have to check. I know registration just sent out that post about having everything done. So we'll be working with Drew and see what he sees on what he's digging into. And as appropriately, we'll try to get open as soon as possible, but not do it with duct tape and bubble gum.
Okay. All right then. So unless you had anything else, Kim, we can wrap that up.
Yeah, I do.
All right then. It is. What time is it? It is what, 7:45. So we're only about 45 minutes into things. I'm fine skipping this 15-minute break if anybody else wants to. Otherwise, if anybody needs to, we can still take it.
I'm good for now.
Okay.
I'd like to at least postpone it a little bit.
The break.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Not a problem. Not a problem. Just a second. Answering an email. All right. The next thing on the list is the bylaws revision. Ashley, did you want to take care of that since you had the comments on it?
Yeah. So we did do the big walkthrough of it last meeting. Unfortunately, I have been dealing with some health issues and I have not been able to keep up with it this month. So we will look forward to next month. I do still have the notes that we had to look at, certain verbiage that we were proposing in it and how it would affect like membership status and when our meetings would happen and when elections would happen. So I know there was some stuff there and adding verbiage for special case scenarios. So I do still have all the notes as to what we needed to look for to add them, but it did not get done this month.
Okay. Alrighty. So we'll look forward to getting touching base on that over the next month, so we can have something a little bit more finalized for next month. Hopefully, I know it's not going to be done by next month for finalized.
Don't say that. I'm going to shoot for having it done next month, provided my health issues have cleared up.
I'm just assuming that even if we do get it, if we present the final, people are still going to have edits.
Most likely.
You're part of that. You get to make edits before we get to meetings.
Me, of course.
Sure.
No, John.
Oh yeah, true. And anybody here is welcome. Anybody, any of the board members, any of the coordinators are more than welcome to sit down with us and go over it. It's long, it's tiresome. We crack a lot of bad jokes and laugh at ourselves because we can't tell a joke.
I'm honestly fine with any member who wants to participate. So if any
Yes.
member wants to participate, just send me an email directly and I can get you added to that.
Yep. So on the note of doing that, can we get like a legend at the top of the document with the different colors for who's changing
yes.
what?
Yes. Yeah, I can.
Thank you.
I'll add that.
Because every time I look at it, it's like, okay, who's changing what?
Yeah, fair point. I know we just kind of sent that out on an as requested basis.
Rainbow explosion.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
That's
what the
accurate.
document did look like for
We got
it. So
green, blue, orange, red, and purple.
Purple, yeah.
Yep. So
yep. So yeah, I'm fine with opening it up to any member. So if any members are interested in taking a look at that, just like I said, go ahead, send me an email. It'll get you added to the document and basically give you a run through of what we're doing.
it's definitely great to have those outside viewpoints on things that kind of point out things we may have missed.
Yeah, the more eyes, the better.
Yeah. All right then. Ashley, unless you or anybody else had any other questions or concerns on that. I've not seen anything in chat for a little while, which makes me kind of suspicious that things have died and nobody's seeing anything we're doing.
Mm-hmm. That would be my concern.
Maybe everybody hung up on you.
Well, it says we
Maybe.
still got 12 people watching.
Oh,
Well,
So,
at least 12 people are logged in. They may not be watching, but they're still logged in.
Ah, somebody's
Ah,
there.
Yay! It's not dead.
Yay!
Yeah, we should be suspicious. It's when it's like children. When they're quiet, then we got a problem.
Exactly.
Okay. So then we can roll on to the reviewing of the ATC policies. I honestly thought that we could push that off another month. That is why I left that there. So if anybody would like to sit down, because I know they're rather lengthy and we got to go over them. I still have the list of all of our policies we've ever voted on. I can share that document to anyone that wants it. Just shoot me an email. Tristan.anderson@animatedtour.com or animatedtwincities.com, and I can get you a copy of that so you can view them. If you want to see all of them, not just the current ones. But we can go over that over email, make sure everything is current, update. I know, Christina, you've been doing a pretty dang good job of getting all the new policies and stuff updated and added to our policy list as soon as we can, or as soon as we get them passed, which has been great. So that's really all I had on that. Did anybody have any questions? Not seeing.
So do they need to be like reviewed, or is it just kind of like you have them all and that's fine?
I have a running list of them. So it was about a year and a half ago. I finally finished. I went through all of the board notes and everything I could find, and indexed all of the policies we had. And that's when we finally got the page on the website listing all of our policies, so it wasn't just, go dig them up from the board notes or try to remember them off the top of your head. So I've just kept a running list of them for my sake because I like documentation. This is just more of a go over them, see if any of them are like we usually do every year. The badge prices, make sure the current one is listed. If something is no longer relevant, that it is removed. Just kind of an update and a refresher. Make sure everything's current and still applicable.
Okay.
Tristan, will you add me on the access list for that document, please?
Which document?
The ATC policies.
I will load it to Gmail as soon as I get a chance. I've got 4 iterations of it sitting on my desktop right now. Yeah. Going from starting with voted to just condensing out and weeding things out down to just a final list of everything. So I can get that loaded and shared out tonight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Did anybody else have anything?
Not for the policies.
Not seen anything in chat either. So we can move on to the coordinator goals. I know going over things. Going with that. So I know I had talked to Troy about that, and we were looking. I know he and I had some ideas, so I just kind of wanted to get feedback from everybody else. We can on how you guys wanted to approach that. So I was kind of thinking we could go over things and then make sure they're submitted by the next board meeting finalized, because I know we had talked about looking at them and just kind of see where things were going at the last board meeting.
Silly question. Am I not? I'm counting on fingers. With Heather's resignation, we're down to 2 coordinators, finance and detour. Am I not correct?
So Heather's resignation isn't done for a couple of months. So at the moment, we still have the 3. We do have 2 applicants for we have applicants for 2 of the 3 currently open positions that I have reached out to them already, and we will be setting up a time to sit down and do an interview with those people on gotta work with you guys to see when we can all get the most people there as we can, and go through that interview process, and then have those new coordinators ready to be announced by the next month's meeting. So at that point, we would have 1 open coordinator position, 2 if Heather's position is not filled by the time she steps down. Troy?
Have we done any additional pushes on those open positions, or just that one initial post wall of text?
Not since that initial one. With it, we've gotten 1 for the communications and 1 for the communities. We have not gotten anything for the charities team yet. My thoughts on it, and please people tell me if I'm just absolutely insane. My thoughts on it is that we will wait till we get those 2 positions filled, or at least those interviews done, and then whatever positions are left open, we can do a harder push on those, and broader, whatever we may drum up as far as ways to promote those positions. But
I feel like it's more fair to cast the net for everything as wide as possible. I mean, has this stuff been put out to like the Twin Cities Geeks group and stuff like that, or where
I have not. I'm not familiar with the. I know of the Twin Cities Geeks, but I'm not too familiar with.
Right. I mean, what have we done to promote these positions? Because, and it's not against anybody internal, but I think that we'd all agree that there's more like internal sourcing than is potentially healthy for the organization, both for the people in the organization because everybody's overextended, and just for organizations in general. And that there's, especially right now when there's no events going on, there's a lot of talent out there, there's a lot of skills out there, and I feel like it's better all around if as many people as possible know when there's an opening.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like, so I sent the email back on the 12th to ATC staff, and then I know that it got posted on at least some of the Facebook pages, and I'm not sure what happened outside of that.
Okay.
So I have Twin Cities Geeks written down. I know of a couple other places we can post it, more of our social media pages, but again, like you said, that's internal stuff. I'm not too as I live an hour away from the cities. I'm not too familiar with many of the places down there like TCG that we could broaden into. If anybody has any names, please, I would be glad to take them. Troy?
I think sort of backing up what Heather has said is, I think, and we've seen it at the detour level as well, that there isn't a staff stream commensurate with the vacancies. That it casts that net wider. It doesn't mean that we don't select an internal person, but and I think maybe, I don't know if that's what Michelle was alluding to, but we're coming up on having more vacancies at the coordinator position than we do filled coordinator positions, and that could indicate that what we have been doing for however many years is just not working as well as we want it to currently, and we have
especially considering how long some of those spots have been open.
Right, and like I said, we do just, this isn't throwing rocks. I'm well aware of the glass house that I live in, and we have some department head positions that we have the same thing. If we only mention them to internal staff, if those staff don't come forward and their interest isn't known to us, then they can't just be, vacant in perpetuity. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you.
Ashley?
Okay, so at the last meeting, we did make a list of where it should go. And from what I remember, so first of all, what I remember over the course of the last month is Christina did send an email out to staff, which that I have my own problems with the distribution list for that, but Christina sent her message out to staff. We did post on the ATC external page. I do not remember if it got posted to the internal staff page. And it did get shared on the Detour Facebook by Buttons. I'm not aware if it went on any other social media, and Buttons will have to clarify that or not. Slash, if she was even asked to post it anywhere else. But we did talk about also putting it on Instagram, which we now have access to, Twitter, which we're still working on, but Detour does also have Instagram and Twitter. And at least for those sites, we'd have to look at breaking them up. As Buttons has said in the chat going on, is that we don't want a wall of text.
Yeah.
And I agree with that, but we also don't, yeah. So at least for right now, since we did do this first application cycle, going through the interviews for those who did apply, and then going back and filling in any open positions after that point, and assigning somebody on the board to make sure it gets done. Because I don't think we had a point person on the board, and I think that might be where some of our problems were in making sure that the posts weren't getting done or held out all over the place. So we might need a board person to watch that, at least when we open it back up to do the second round, because we're going to have to do a second round.
Troy?
Just a suggestion, would we be willing to perhaps let in some fashion let the public know, and depending on when we could hold it, maybe on a weekend, that if they had questions about the positions, if a few of us were willing to join in something like this and field questions about the positions, we might not get anybody in it, but we would at least be opening the door that if you have questions about these coordinator positions, we can sit in here and answer them for you. Like I said, I can't guarantee engagement. I'm just trying to think of ways that doesn't get us more engagement. It's more after they're engaged, we can help answer any questions. But otherwise, all they have to go off of is, depending on what their speed reading level is, how much they're skimming through the position description, and they may or may not take it upon themselves to email people. But just a suggestion, I'd certainly be willing to sit in a chat room and wait for nobody to come in, but at least if they did, we could answer questions.
I would be fine with doing that.
It might also be easier in our benefit to update the website with open positions and their descriptions there, and direct people to the website, because then we get rid of the wall of text.
Sure.
And everything going on for multiple positions. So that way it's on the website too. I'm not aware of the traffic on the ATC website, but I do know the Anime Detour website gets a decent amount of traffic to it.
Okay. That's definitely a better option than posting walls of text on or just spamming multiple posts on social media sites.
Yeah, that way people don't have to read a whole bunch to get to what they want. They can go follow a link to go directly to what they want.
Okay. Alrighty. Does anybody else have any thoughts on that?
So on the email that I sent out, I had put a deadline of 7/1 on there.
Yeah.
Do we want to pick a new deadline for going to send out for more?
I would not send out more until we've completed the 2 open interviews, and then we can, that way we know who all, in case that we don't fill a position or something, which is always a possibility. That way we're not, opening the 2 positions we didn't get anything for, and then, in the unlikely chance we don't fill a position, have to go back for a position that was applied for in the previous round.
Mm-hmm. And I think honestly, the coordinators were important, but I think they kind of got pushed aside to get the member at large position filled, because that felt more urgent because
I believe that you're correct. That took definite priority in this last month.
Okay.
So I know the last 2 points we can either roll on unless anybody wanted to take that break.
I am good with a
I think-
5-minute break, maybe not full 15, but I don't know what everybody else is sitting at.
I'd be in favor of a 5-minute break.
Okay. All right, then we can we'll take a quick 5-minute break, go to the bathroom and such, and then come on back.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
All right,
Sounds
folks,
good.
we will be back shortly. There we go. All right, and we are back, folks. Thank you for your patience. We need a little bit of bathroom break there. All right then. Unless there's any new questions, I don't see any new questions or anything in the chat. We will move on to our last two subjects for the evening. The first one is the status of GPS. I know I've been following it a little bit. I know they're running a fundraiser right now. I don't know if anybody else had any more details on that. I've not been too deep into that.
They sent the board in. Am I on mute? Okay, no,
I
I'm
was
not.
gonna say, Anne sent out a communication today.
Yeah, we did receive
Yeah.
a communication today with specific things we could do besides for fundraising and or getting money.
Yeah, I hadn't had a
Directly.
chance to read that with.
Yeah, it's really long.
Yeah, it was essentially like extending communications out on their behalf, just spreading the net.
Okay.
I even saw about this on the news, though. It was on KSTP, so.
Yeah.
GPS?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
they
Okay.
did it right.
Troy, I know if you want to reach out to, if you think this would be worth it, we could reach out to Buttons and get it try to see what her thoughts are on any social media sharing if she thinks that's something we could be into. I would not be opposed to putting this on the ATC pages. Some to get it shared out there.
And it looks like a lot of that is already pre-written, or they have graphics available on that email too, is what it looks like.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah,
not
it's-
like we would have to make it ourselves.
Yeah, it's literally like, here's a link to the post. Can you just go to this link and then share it to yours? Or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Troy?
Do we have any knowledge as to what their lease terms are? Because everything they do or don't do does have some sort of impact on us.
Sure.
If they, they mentioned, by the end of July. Well, what happens at the end of July if the money isn't raised?
I don't know,
Granted, we have a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a benefit, but we have a little bit of a blessing in that, we're not currently holding, anything in person there.
I would beg to differ.
We may need to start.
there?
ATC has as far Heather, is that, do you know if that locker there is in that we have the stuff in, is that
No,
entirely
but
ATC?
He was talking about events.
I'm saying we're not
okay.
currently holding anything
No,
there.
we're not using
okay.
the meeting spaces right now, but we do have a lot of property stored there.
Yeah,
That would
Right.
have to be moved.
I misunderstood.
So it would seem like we would need to know a few, worst case scenario from them, including, if they're not able to vacate date, is it the end of the year? Is it the end of the month? What are we looking at here?
The GoFundMe is raising money to keep the lease through December 2020
So it would be through the end
and
of the year.
utilities.
Right. But,
Whew.
that's if they raise, I thought is that's if they raise the entirety of the 40,000. If they don't, do they utilize that money to do it for 3 months? I mean, so maybe it's an answer they can't give us until they know how much they've brought in. But
Well, so it sounds like what you guys might want to do is collect some questions that you might have and respond and ask.
yeah, I mean, how do we have, and in the event that we don't know the answer, it's at least something I'd be interested in finding out. Do we know we know the amount of money that we give them annually. Do we know as to what percentage of their operating costs that money is? Because if they're not able to rely on us, and I know that we've had this discussion, probably 5 years ago prior to signing the previous contract, was wanting them to increase their efforts of diversifying their revenue streams versus, us perhaps increasing the amount we give annually over the course of that contract.
Which, to be fair, they have done, honestly. Like they've the last few times that I talked to people from GPS before COVID destroyed everything, they were very positive about the changes that they had made and about the increased income that they had. So they had done a lot of that. It's just unfortunately for them, a good chunk of that. I mean, it's space rental, and then the big thing, because I had heard some muttering about this beforehand, that convergence was kind of the last hope. And without the silent auction at conventions, that's their two major sources of income. So,
is it an organization that's functioning at an annual deficit and/or with no reserves?
well, I wouldn't say they function at a deficit. Of course, I don't know that. You'd have to ask them, but I mean, I think it would be important before like any more discussion happens on hypothetical stuff to actually reach out to them and get answers to these questions. So I would think if an
organization that we're in league with and that we rely on in part is operating at an annual deficit and/or has no reserves, that would be a concern for us to be in partnership with.
And I think we'd have a right to that information. So I mean, I'd be surprised if.
Dave has always offered to provide it.
Right. Yeah. I would hope so. I would think that ATC would have been able to see their budget and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, do they have I feel like they have meetings. I don't know if they have board meetings per se, but
I know when we last talked about the lease, I know we didn't talk about their entire budget, but I know they did talk about what the lease amount had been increased to, and what our requested portion of that was.
Yeah, I think it mostly had to do with because of the raise in rent.
Yeah, that was my understanding of it.
Okay, so it sounds like that in the event they're not able to raise the necessary funds, we should probably start considering the possibility we may need to get another space to both store some of the property that we currently have there, as well as a meeting space.
Well, we do.
I definitely would think
Moving the property shouldn't be a problem. We have plenty of room in the storage.
Yeah,
we can move it to the storage locker.
It could be moved to the locker. As far as meeting space, that's that either you're talking paid square footage or you're talking library system or something. But we should at least have. Like I said, I think we've got a little bit of, in my opinion, we've got a little bit of time on that part of the contingency plan, only because we're not currently planning in-person get-togethers. But it's definitely, as Heather has said, COVID has changed a thing. It's at least intelligent for us to be aware of that, and no matter how dire it might look, at least try to plan a way through it, however well we can.
Yeah, contingencies are definitely needed.
And they may have had money, but 5 months without any rentals.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Right. Probably drained them.
Yeah.
And they missed out on at least 3 major conventions they did silent auctions at that I know of. So
I would say at least it would also probably bear quite a larger scale discussion when looking at signing another contract. I would think. I think there's a lot that we have to know in order to be in partnership with someone, so that if they're not raising enough money for the space that we use, that does not benefit us.
Well, I think I would hope that there'd be some, wiggle room in terms of unforeseen circumstances, which it definitely is. Because I think up to this point,
And I think annual, if it's something that's been operating at an annual deficit for a number of years, then that's not only affected by COVID, then that's
that's fair.
A larger issue. Or if they do not have or have not had the ability to set aside reserves for a number of years, and that too is, an issue that is going to certainly be exacerbated by COVID, but wasn't started by COVID.
That's one of those things we've kind of started to look into, especially like with some of our charitable giving as well. Is there's a lot of organizations that we partner with or that we work with that we hear a lot of, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't happen, kind of statements.
Mhm.
That's while it's great that we can help
Sure.
put an event on, it's also not the best to hear for a number of years back to back that we're the only
Right.
our funds are the only reason that event is happening.
And
In the
that's a-
beginning, sure, but after a while,
Yeah.
And I think that's a very heavy weight for Anime Twin Cities to bear, especially if it's more than one organization. That we have at the very least sort of a primary duty to the one organization, us, and we certainly help in other instances. But if we are the sole or primary, financial support for other organizations,
That's a problem.
that's an issue that weighs on us. And yes, there is, the emotional aspect of limiting or cutting that off, but there's sound business, rationale at, case by case basis, I suppose.
So I will point out, as much as I hope that things won't go in a particular direction, I looked at their fundraiser today, and their lease alone is 30,000 of that money, and so far they've raised 10. And apparently they have to have that amount by the end of July. So I think it's prudent not only to ask these questions, but to find out what the worst case scenario looks like, so that we can have a plan in place if it doesn't work out, because it honestly looks kind of grim.
Right, I agree.
Yeah, especially with those numbers, I think we definitely need to get a contingency plan in place.
Agreed.
As much as I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, I mean, I assume it is an affordable space compared to what else can be found in the general area. But I mean, do we know that that's actually true? I mean, I'm sure they don't want to move, but maybe at some point.
I know there have been multiple times where they've put together teams who've gone out looking for other spaces that were reasonably comparable, that would have cost less, and had a very difficult time finding something that combined ease of access, space, layout, and cost. Because evidently they also even have a basement space there that the general populace does not see.
I think they moved out of that storage area a while
I think that
ago.
was around the time they raised the rent. I remember we had all the convergent stuff in the 107 for a while. I think that was what had been in the basement.
Yep.
Okay.
They downsized out of that area.
So for, without, I don't think I even have a digital copy of the agreement. Just so that, maybe we could get that out to the board members so that they could either refamiliarize themselves or familiarize themselves with it. Just a suggestion. But so as far as this, whatever it is, the monthly stipend or however we pay it.
Yearly.
Yearly. So is that for, I'm sure it's for use of the space, our office, and the storage that we use. Are those sort of the the primary benefits, or are there other things that maybe we're not aware of, or is that sort of the big three?
I'm sorry, I was typing to Dave. I was asking him if he could send me an electronic copy, because I know all we have is a physical.
Yeah, the one in the office, I think. Yeah.
But
So in terms of what we pay yearly, is so at least as far as putting a little bit of financial blinders on, is that for the ability to use the space, the office space that we have, and the storage space that we use?
yes, I believe it just includes, so we don't have to pay for the space when there's meetings or
Right.
anything like that. The office and the one little storage area
Yep.
that we have.
I just wanted to make sure there wasn't something else primary
As far
or
as I know, there's nothing else that we get from it other than our name and partnership.
There's some minor things, but nothing that's particularly huge.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I had that was sort of my understanding of it, but I wanted to make sure that I understood it as well as I thought I did.
Yeah. Are we also able to get copies of the last several years of their GPS's financial records, just so we can have an idea of where they sit financially?
I'll ask.
Okay.
I believe it
I'm just
probably
shooting
is
an email
also
out
out
to
on their website. Like
yeah, I'm
we
trying
have
to
post
find
ours.
it, but I don't. Their website's weird.
I don't know if they
GPS
post
GPS is once again a registered 501c3, so you can look up their
can look up.
returns.
So when is the renewal for this?
I
not
think
for
we just
public-
signed, didn't we?
We just signed
Okay.
it in. Oh, God.
October?
So I think we
No,
might be
we
getting a
would've-
little.
The end of April of 19 maybe, effective.
Or just a year into
Okay.
it?
Yeah, because I paid one payment and the next payment would be due this November, and I believe there's one after that.
Okay, so I think we might be getting a little off topic here, since it sounds like a lot of this is discussing whether or not to continue support in general, which wouldn't be a discussion until later. So I mean, just to keep stuff, concise.
If they
there's-
have to break their contract with us because they can't pay their rent, then
Right.
I don't know.
So I mean, getting copies of this paperwork is important,
Yeah.
sure, but I'm just saying maybe focus on getting the questions answered and doing appropriate support and whatnot, and getting a plan together, and look at that stuff more in depth later on.
Is there anybody specifically that would like to take charge on getting those emails over to Dave or whoever the contact point is at GPS with those questions?
Well, I already sent. him
Sounds
an
like
email
Kim's
asking
doing it.
for a physical
Yeah.
copy of the.
Well, I didn't know if there was other questions we were going to come up with, because I know we've been talking about making a list.
Oh, you can make a little email for the contract and the.
Okay.
Okay.
And the financials.
I think essentially number one concern is what happens if they don't raise the money, and when does it happen,
Yeah.
Right.
so that we can be prepared for that potential.
I agree.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to do some brainstorming and have this particular discussion at a later time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get
Can we
an
add
email started. So I'll get an email started here in a little bit among us, so we can kind of get questions together.
Okay.
But in the meantime, will we also be going ahead and doing as they have asked, which is to promote their fundraising via our communications?
Yes, I am more than comfortable getting that put up on the ATC social media pages.
So we need to make sure that Jay, who's been working on stuff currently until someone is permanently assigned, is given this information and told to do so.
Yep, I'm already going to be sitting down with him and working on a few things when we've got a chance. So that's something he and I can get.
But that should be something that goes out ASAP, because it's on a GoFundMe and they would need the money.
Yep. No, I'm not
so.
talking weeks down the line. I was trying to sit down with him as soon as he and I both have free time to try to get some of the other social media stuff ironed out.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
I agree with everything else, but
Yeah, no,
that
I agree. I don't want to drag this out and the 29th suddenly get a message out. That's
Yeah, that's
far too late.
there's a couple of paychecks in here people can use.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So unless I haven't seen any real questions in the chat about the GPS issue. Unless anybody else has anything else, I believe we can move on to our final subject for the evening. So shortly after, back around the last meeting, we were notified by Troy that a member of the Anime Detour staff had been dismissed due to violations of the code of conduct that ATC had put in place. Due to these violations, I do feel, since this is something that the board put in place, that it is also appropriate that this person be dismissed from the ATC membership. Not looking to ban them from any events or anything, but just that as they were dismissed as Anime Detour staff, they also be dismissed as a staff member of Anime Twin Cities. Does anybody have any questions?
I think it stands in line with what we've done in the past for a different situation.
Okay.
It's not the first time it's come up.
No. Okay. So yes, at this point, then I would, unless anybody else has any other questions, then I would like to put forth the motion that we, at this point, do dismiss Rob Kahn from the staff of Anime Twin Cities.
I am on mute. I would second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Okay. All in favor.
No, Leon. Come on.
At this point, that is, we've got a couple of board member projects that are coming up in the next few months. We're skipping the locker inventory, as well as charities, leg recipients. Still got to work on getting those coordinator pages up and going. Ashley, would that still fall under John getting coordinator pages made, or would that fall under Drew now?
I would contact both of them because it's my understanding John's still holding on to, he's still involved with everything and he's getting phased out of the detour side of things for sure. And I know we have to have a conversation, view our infrastructure about separating ATC and AD, depending on our infrastructure needs and how that all turns out.
Okay, I will reach out to them to try it so we can get that ironed out and get those pages at least not live, but at least set up so that we can just get our information and stuff on there. And then the intellectual property document. Kim, was it the intellectual property document or the trademark that you had sent me?
It was the trademark.
That's what I thought.
I don't know what this intellectual property document is, though.
Neither.
I don't know what the trademark.
Intellectual property has to do with when you have developed something like a application for a website. It's not what we have. It's sort of along the lines of a
Kind of like
of
the
a patent.
registration database.
We do have a lot of custom stuff out there that would be considered that, I think.
But that's trademark.
Well, I mean, the whole registration system is custom code.
Yeah,
And a lot of the way that the website works and stuff is a custom application.
Yeah, so that would be intellectual property of. I don't think we have anything in place, to state if it would be the intellectual property of the organization or the person.
Okay. Well, that definitely needs to be addressed.
Yeah, so let's dive into that and. So I'll pick John's brain on that since he was a big part of the majority of that. See what his thoughts or his understanding on things are, and just kind of try to build up from there. Keep in touch with everybody, and see where we have to go with it. I'm not 100% sure. So we got the trademark. And then the annual report for ATC and Detour. That's not for a couple of months yet, right, Kim?
Yeah, and at least middle of the October board meeting, I'm assuming.
Yeah, because the end of the fiscal year is September, right?
Yes.
So we got a few months out on that. Yeah. All right then.
No, I have a couple of things if you're done.
Yep. I was just gonna ask that.
Okay, well, one, I just forwarded the whole board a copy of the partnership agreement that Dave just electronically sent me. It'll probably be next week before he can get the like the 990s or the budget stuff, so that'll come. And then more importantly, Tristan, did you see my email on the 29th of June where I forwarded the stuff about Kevin's, the subscriptions, that we need to make a decision on that voting thing because I need to give them 30 days notice if we're not continuing.
Yes. Yes, I did see that. I'm sorry for slipped my mind. I mean, I know I personally have especially with the social distancing, I found it to be useful, pretty easy to run, and actually, you know, we've found more than enough benefit of it that I would feel comfortable extending, just continuing to use it for now.
Yeah, he gave a couple of options for the pricing and stuff. So I don't know. Did you look at the pricing at all?
I had not. I will.
Okay. It looks like he says he would recommend upgrading to the premium.
Okay.
Because it's billed yearly for 50 voters. I think it looks like it's $59.88 for a year versus $41.94 for a 6-month one.
That would definitely
And then
save money.
we have the ability to have sub admins. And then he went on to say if we got above 50 voters, we might want to go to something bigger.
Okay.
We could do 100 voters at $118.68 for 12 months.
Well, I don't
For
think we would need to
12
worry about that until next year
Yeah.
because our voting
Yeah.
membership is set right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could stick still with the 50 at this point.
Yeah, as long as you feel that is within our budget, Kim, I would definitely be comfortable going with that.
Well, I don't know if I necessarily like it being in the budget, but it's something that we're making use out of, and I don't know that it's something that we can not have.
Yeah, it's especially with I know there's
We're gonna have a lot of online voting.
Yeah, especially since I know with a lot of the bylaw talks, and some of the other stuff we've been looking at branching away some of our all of our voting meetings from detour meetings to kind of create that distance. Right. This would definitely be beneficial with that.
Okay. So is anybody opposed to the yearly one? I think it says $59.88 for 12 months is how I read Kevin's, but I'll have to look at the actual.
What are we paying now? I'm assuming we're on like a monthly thing or a trial.
I have no idea because Kevin's gotten all the bills and
I think he paid for 6 months.
Yeah, that was my understanding. It was a 6
So we
month.
haven't paid anything yet.
Yeah. So from what it from.
Yeah, Kevin can just keep paying for it. It's fine. No.
Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't need to come in our budget.
Well, not anymore because I've already switched the credit card.
Yeah.
Out of Kevin's name.
I mean, $59.88. That's $60.
Yeah,
right. We're not talking 5,000. Yeah, that's
for an entire year.
We can do $60.
I'm not opposed to $60 for an entire year for something that we're looking to get use out of on a regular basis.
Okay. I am not either, so. I am assuming, Christina, did he reach out to you to?
Yes, I changed all of the login information to
So will you
ATC
send
secretary.
it to me so I can, or I guess maybe you can. Maybe you can go in and change the pricing or change the subscription. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I probably can do that.
That has the ATC card already on there, so.
Okay.
That shouldn't be a problem. I can forward you the email from Kevin so you. I think I only sent it to Tristan.
Kevin said he'll forward Kim the receipts tonight.
Yeah, go ahead and just forward me the email and I will upgrade. Yeah, it should be easy enough.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, definitely the rogue bus strategy.
Okay. Kim, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, that was all.
Okay.
All right, Christina, I just sent you the original email that he sent me.
Perfect. I will look at that later.
That's fine. If you have trouble, just let me know. We'll work it out.
All right. And I know before Kim, it sounded like one or two other people had might have had something they wanted to bring up. All right. Last call for anybody before we end the meeting. Then, we've covered all our topics for the evening. Give Chad a chance to catch up, see if they have any questions. All right. Well, I'm not seeing anything else in the chat. If anybody in chat does think of any questions or have any other concerns about anything, love you too, Hotora. You can reach out to us at atcboard@animetwincities.com. Because I'm a cuddly teddy bear.
Because you're hosting the meeting.
I like my answer better. I'm soft and fluffy and cuddly.
Yeah.
That wasn't random for anyone not watching the chat. That was in response to a chat comment.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I was gonna say vaguely Sasquatchy, but okay.
I mean,
yeah,
this,
you know, the
this wonderful
barbershop
beard.
is open now, Tristan.
They're open for the top, but not the chin.
That's true.
All right.
Too much.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I got an appointment later this week with my barber to clear up the top. So
They got close and did my eyebrows. They can get close and chop off the bottom part of your chin.
Yeah, just
true.
don't breathe for 10 minutes.
Oh, Hotura's actually got the comment because last year my dad actually played. He was the Santa in our photo shoot. Maybe I could just let it go.
Yeah, maybe
paint it silver.
Maybe this year you do it. Yeah.
I'll just have to get a nice suit and a little bit of a belly.
We got pillows. You'll be fine.
Oh yeah. But all right then. Other than that, I think we're all done for this evening. I will call for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
All right. All in favor? All righty. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us tonight. You have yourself a good evening, and we will talk to you soon.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay, looks like we're off YouTube now.
I usually leave the stream going for about 5 minutes after, just for people to finish their conversations and
Sure.
catch up. But I killed all the audio, and it's just the logo splash page.
Okay.
For 10 hours.
Oh, God.
Did that happen?
Last month, apparently, I forgot to click end stream, and I just closed the tab.
Oh
I
no.
woke up at like 4 in the morning to a message from Troy that the stream was still going.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, I ended it. I had stopped OBS, so YouTube wasn't getting any feed.
Right, but still.
I hit end stream. It took like 9 hours to process it, but YouTube just trimmed it to the point.
Our audio is still live.
Oopsie.
Thank you, Kevin.